earlier, to have a moment of reflection where we will all be able to gather our thoughts and then move into the national anthem after that. That's appropriate. If I can get a seconder.
Okay, Councillor Frost.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Frost. Then Councillor McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to moment of reflection, I'm just looking at the report and I'd like the clerk to clarify. It says here that a moment of silence, its purpose is religious in nature, it constitutes a religious practice and therefore illegal. So I'm curious to know, what is your take on a moment of reflection versus a moment of silence? To me, they're very similar.
I guess the difference really does depend on the purpose of it. If the purpose is religious, then I can't.
So would it require council specifying that this is not a moment of reflection for religious purposes? I'm just looking at how we would.
I think Councillor explained it in the introduction to the motion, where it was ever to think about your day, to think about what's going on in your life, how you're going to discipline your son when you get home. It could be a motion just a reflection of
what I'm asking for is clarification. Do we have to specify that is the purpose of the moment of reflection?
Okay,
That's what I'm getting at. Because the public could say, oh, they're having a moment of silence, which is religious, therefore violates the Supreme Court canon. So who's to say that this moment of reflection is for non-religious purposes?
Well, then I think it's a very good thing to state it as such in the resolution.
Yeah, it can be a motion of personal reflection or whatever. But then again, if we have to, we get it checked by a lawyer. And
If we're trying to follow the Supreme Court canon, let's make sure we follow it.
That's a legal question that he's asking.
Yeah, just,
It's as simple as that.
so what is the answer to the question? Like, essentially, it's,
I'll amend it to personal reflection, and I really don't think reflection has only a religious connotation. You look at the
So
definition of
personal
reflection.
I agree. I'm not
So
disputing that.
I would say that I think we're probably safe to say personal reflection.
Okay.
Is that our legal position? Probably less than
Well, I think that you shouldn't, Councillor Frost, you shouldn't be asking us for legal opinions. We're not lawyers. And when I mentioned we'll have a lawyer look at it, because that's where you get legal opinions from a lawyer.
I asked the
So,
anyways.
yeah, but then again, you've asked it to lay people, not to lawyers. Okay, is there any other comments? Councillor McIntosh was first, then Councillor Elaine McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Clement on this one. It's amazing what one person in a remote village in Quebec this change he can cause. One guy didn't like it, probably didn't even go to the council meetings, and the Supreme Court spends, 3 years later, they announced that you can't say prayer before a council meeting. This is just the start of something. Notice it didn't say council chambers, it's in a public forum. So I think the national anthem is next target, and who knows, instead of God keep our land, we may be saying Stephen or Thomas or Justin keep our land. That may change. So if it's a moment of reflection, and if there's something wrong with that, then goodbye November 11th when we have the 1 minute silence. Because, and as for the oath of office, with all due respect, Madam Clerk, I think it's a pretty corny idea. I don't get up every morning to recite my marriage vows.
You should.
By choice?
My wife's in Toronto, so
She's watching.
All right.
Anyway, I think that a moment of reflection, bow our heads. If you want to think about the golf game on Monday, that's fine. If you want to think of some divine guidance, that's fine too. So that's the way I want to go.
Okay. Councillor Elaine McDonald and Councillor DePel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I disagree with both the mover of the motion and with Councillor McIntosh. I think that a moment of silence or reflection has so often been used as a substitute for an invocation that I think there's a common understanding of it and acceptance of it as a substitute invocation. I like the idea of having the oath of office. Frankly, the minute or so before we start deliberating should be to focus us on council, not to think about our golf game or our kids or whatever else. I think that this is a really appropriate commencement to this exercise, and I don't see any connection between not having a moment of silence here and the moment of silence at November 11th ceremony. So obviously that is to respect and commemorate and remember the dead. Not here. clearer about action, and the oath of office is a good direction.
Councillor DeBell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was, of course, like my colleagues, or most of my colleagues, I'm sure, very disappointed when the invocation has come to an end, because most of us rush here from our day job, just get here in time to have our meeting. So it was like a nice start to the meeting after the national anthem. And you know what? It was wonderful to see the different faces come before us, and to me that's an inclusive community. And so that was really nice. So I will certainly support Councillor Clement's motion to have a moment of personal reflection, and I think that it gives you time to get into the mode where you need to be making decisions for the residents of Cornwall, and it just gives you that moment to clear your head and get on with your meeting. So I would certainly welcome the motion, and will support it 100%.
Councillor Rivette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also will support the motion. I think it's a good motion. If we can keep my blood pressure down in 1 minute, I'm good.
All right, any other comment? All right, Council, you've heard the motion. Those in favor? Those opposed?